Welcome back to Mythic Sleep. I am young Homer, here to guide you through the next chapter of the rise and fall of Zeus, a timeline series. Tonight, we continue Series 3, Challenges and Struggles, Tests of a Divine King, entering episodes 22 through 24. Here we see Zeus confront not only threats to Olympus, but also the defiance of mortals and forces that defy his control. These episodes reveal Zeus's struggle to preserve his rule against unimaginable forces and ancient powers that challenge the gods themselves. Close your eyes if you wish, and take a slow breath, letting calm settle over you like a gentle twilight. Inhale deeply, drawing in warmth and calm, feeling yourself sink into the comfort of this quiet space. And as you exhale, release any tension, feeling your body soften, your mind calm. Breathe in deeply once more, letting each breath bring peace and strength. And as you exhale, settle into a quiet, relaxed stillness, ready for the journey ahead. In episode 22, Typhon's Wrath, the monster of chaos, we find Zeus facing Typhon, a being born from the depths of chaos itself. With the strength of a storm and the fury of 1,000 tempests, Typhon rises against Olympus, threatening to destroy all that Zeus has built. The clash between Zeus and Typhon sends shock waves across the heavens and earth, a battle that will test the very limits of divine power. As lightning meets fury, the fate of Olympus hangs in the balance. Yet even as Zeus calls upon all his strength, he finds that some battles require more than force alone. Take a deep breath, feeling the pulse of this ancient power, like the thunder that rumbles in the heart of a gathering storm. What will it take for Zeus to stand against such a force, and can Olympus survive this monster born of chaos? In episode 23, Mortals Defy the Gods, the punishment of Prometheus, Zeus faces a new challenge, one that comes not from titans or giants, but from humanity itself. Prometheus, the wise titan, defies Zeus by gifting fire to mortals, giving them the strength to shape their own destiny. Zeus's wrath is swift, and his judgment severe, as he seeks to remind both gods and mortals of the boundaries that should never be crossed. But as Prometheus endures his punishment, a quiet resistance stirs, a reminder that power, once given, cannot be taken back. Breathe deeply, feeling the quiet defiance that lingers in the air, like embers glowing softly in the night. What will be the price of this gift to mortals, and can Zeus maintain control over a world forever changed? In episode 24, the flood of Deucalion, cleansing the earth, Zeus's patience with mortals is tested once more as he watches humanity descend into arrogance and corruption. Unable to bear the sight of a world drifting from divine law, he calls forth a great flood, cleansing the earth of those who have defied Olympus. But even in the darkest of waters, hope survives, as Deucalion and his wife, Pyrrha, find refuge on a lone mountaintop. Zeus watches in silence, his judgment clear, yet his heart stirred by the resilience of those who remain. This flood will wash away the old, making way for a world renewed. Take a slow breath, feeling the calm of the storm's aftermath, like the soft rise of dawn over a quiet ocean. What will rise from the depths of this flood? And can peace find its way back to the world? As we bring these tales of divine struggle and mortal defiance to a close, let yourself drift into the calm that follows, each breath connecting you to the mystery and resilience that echo through these ancient stories. Now, let's bring your mind and body to full relaxation, welcoming peace with every breath. Close your eyes and take a slow, deep breath in, letting calm fill your chest, as steady as the gentle flow of water. As you exhale, feel your body soften, each muscle releasing as you sink into stillness. This is your time to unwind, to feel safe, and to let go. Let your breath carry you into a gentle rhythm, as quiet as the morning light after a long night's storm. Take another deep breath in, letting it fill you completely. Hold it softly for a moment, and as you exhale, feel yourself sinking further, calm and serene. Now, let's guide each part of the body to relax, inviting rest with every breath. Start with your forehead, allowing it to soften completely as you exhale. Move to your jaw, releasing any tightness, letting it rest gently. Now bring awareness to your shoulders. Inhale deeply, and as you exhale, let them fall, as though setting down the weight of ancient trials. Allow your arms and hands to grow heavy, resting peacefully by your sides. Notice the steady rise and fall in your chest and belly, inhaling as your belly rises, and on the exhale, releasing any last bits of tension, feeling light and free. Shift your focus to your hips and thighs, letting them sink deeper into the bed, fully supported and relaxed. And finally, bring attention to your calves, feet, and toes, allowing them to release completely, grounded and calm. Now imagine yourself on a quiet mountaintop where the air is still and the first light of dawn touches the world with soft colors. In the distance, you see Zeus, his gaze steady as he watches over the world, the calm after the flood holding a quiet promise of renewal and peace. With each breath, feel yourself surrounded by the calm strength of this moment, as though you too stand as a quiet witness to the resilience of life. Inhale deeply, letting the peace and strength of the scene fill you, and exhale, feeling grounded, steady, and fully at ease. With your body relaxed and your mind open, allow the story to carry you into this world of endurance, renewal, and timeless grace where both gods and mortals find new beginnings. Take one last deep breath in and let it out softly. Now, let us begin. In the depths of Tartarus, where light barely touched and chaos reigned supreme, a dark force stirred, a force that even the gods of Olympus had long hoped to avoid. Typhon, the monstrous child of Gaia and Tartarus, was a being of unspeakable fury and destructive power. Birthed from the Earth Mother's anger at the gods' treatment of her children and the bitter battles of the Titanomachy and Gigantomachy, Typhon was more than just a monster. He was chaos incarnate, a creature whose very essence was designed to topple the mightiest of gods. When Typhon finally rose from the depths, his form was unlike any seen before. Towering above mountains, his body was covered in scales as dark as midnight, and from his many heads emerged streams of venomous smoke. His eyes glowed with a crimson rage that seemed to burn through the very fabric of the heavens. His roar shook the earth, a chilling cry that carried Gaia's rage across the cosmos. The gods had barely secured their unity, yet Typhon's arrival threatened to dismantle everything they had built. As the ground trembled with Typhon's approach, Prometheus, the wise Titan chained to the mountains, sensed the coming danger. Though bound and punished for his defiance, he knew that Typhon's wrath would bring chaos not only to Olympus, but to the mortal realm. With his gift of foresight, Prometheus saw the devastation Typhon would wreak and called upon Hermes, the messenger of the gods, urging him to warn Zeus of the impending disaster. "Tell Zeus," Prometheus whispered to Hermes, his voice filled with foreboding, "that Typhon is a force born from Gaia's fury, a wrath that even the gods may struggle to contain. To face him will require more than strength. It will require cunning and unity. Warn them, for if Typhon is not stopped, all realms will fall to ruin." Hermes, understanding the gravity of the warning, sped back to Olympus, carrying Prometheus's message with urgency. Upon arriving, he relayed the Titan's words to Zeus and the assembled gods, each of them feeling the weight of what was to come. Typhon was not merely a monster. He was Gaia's vengeance, an embodiment of the chaos they had so carefully kept at bay. Zeus called upon his allies, rallying the gods for the fight of their lives. Hera, Poseidon, Athena, Apollo, Artemis, and Ares each prepared, understanding that this battle would require every ounce of their strength and determination. Typhon was unlike any foe they had ever faced, a force as primal as the elements themselves, and they knew that to confront him would push their unity and their powers to their limits. "We have defeated titans, giants, and even our own doubts," Zeus declared, his thunderbolt crackling with a fierce light. But Typhon is a foe born from chaos itself. We must fight together with every strength we possess, for he seeks to destroy not only Olympus, but the very balance we have fought to create. The gods armed themselves, their divine weapons gleaming in the growing darkness. Poseidon held his trident, summoning the strength of oceans, while Athena prepared her spear and shield, her mind racing with strategies. Apollo and Artemis readied their bows, their arrows tipped with divine fire. Even Hades, from his realm in the underworld, sent support, recognizing that Typhon's wrath could upend the natural order of life and death itself. The ground shook violently as Typhon reached the foot of Olympus. His many heads breathed fire and poison, and his massive wings blocked out the sun, casting the mountain into a shadow deeper than night. With a roar that shattered stones, Typhon unleashed a torrent of destruction, hurling massive boulders and storms of fire toward Olympus. Rivers boiled under his fury, and forests ignited, sending clouds of smoke spiraling into the heavens. Zeus led the charge, hurling a massive bolt of lightning at Typhon, its light slicing through the darkness. The bolt struck Typhon's chest, momentarily halting his advance, but the creature only roared in response, as if the strike had merely fueled his anger. Typhon retaliated, sending a storm of fire and stone toward the gods, forcing them to scatter as the ground shook and cracked beneath them. Poseidon summoned tidal waves from distant oceans, directing them toward Typhon to douse his flames. The waters crashed over the monster, but he rose from the waves, unaffected, his eyes burning with fury. With each step, Typhon proved that he was more than mere strength. He was a creature of unrelenting chaos, impervious to the very forces the gods commanded. As the battle raged on, the gods struggled to contain Typhon's fury. Hera defended Olympus with fierce resolve, shielding the mountain with waves of divine energy, yet even her powers strained against the onslaught. Apollo and Artemis fired arrows from the sky, their aim precise, striking Typhon's heads and wings, but the monster healed with unnatural speed, each wound closing almost as soon as it was made. Realizing brute force alone would not prevail, Athena called to her fellow gods. "We must think, not only strike. Typhon draws strength from Gaia. If we sever that connection, we may have a chance to weaken him." Inspired by Athena's words, Hermes sped to the depths of Tartarus, seeking a way to disrupt the bond between Typhon and Gaia. Meanwhile, the gods fought with renewed strategy, coordinating their efforts to keep Typhon at bay. Ares charged forward with a battle cry, clashing head-on with the beast, his strength and courage undiminished by the creature's size. The combined force of the gods held Typhon back, though they knew they could not hold him forever. As Hermes returned from Tartarus, he brought a fragment of rock infused with the essence of chaos itself, a tool that could sever Typhon's connection to Gaia. He handed it to Athena, who crafted a plan to use the rock to weaken the monster's link to the earth, draining his strength and leaving him vulnerable to their attacks. With Zeus leading the charge, the gods rallied for a final assault. Athena launched the fragment of chaos toward Typhon, the energy within it sparking as it struck the monster. A strange light enveloped Typhon, and he roared as he felt his connection to Gaia weaken, his strength diminishing as the chaotic energy destabilized his form. Seizing the opportunity, Zeus unleashed a massive thunderbolt, its power magnified by the unity of his fellow gods. The bolt struck Typhon with unrelenting force, searing through his body and casting him down. Poseidon sent a tidal wave crashing over him, and Apollo fired a final arrow that pierced through the flames surrounding the beast. In a final, desperate roar, Typhon collapsed, his body sinking into the earth from which he had risen. As the dust settled, Olympus remained standing, though battered and scorched from the intensity of the battle. The gods, exhausted and wounded, gathered around the place where Typhon had fallen, each feeling the weight of the victory. The battle against Typhon had proven that even Olympus was vulnerable to forces of chaos beyond their control. They had emerged victorious, but they understood that the threat of chaos would always linger, waiting for a moment of weakness. Zeus looked upon his allies, pride and relief in his gaze. Today, we have faced the very embodiment of chaos and emerged victorious. Typhon has been defeated, and Olympus stands strong. But let this remind us that our unity is our strength, and our vigilance must never waver. The gods nodded, each feeling a renewed commitment to the realm they had fought so fiercely to protect. Typhon's defeat was a reminder that their world was one of balance, a balance that would require constant care and vigilance. Typhon's defeat became a tale told in whispers, a legend passed through both mortal and divine realms. The gods knew that this victory had tested them to their core. Each god pushed to the edge of their power, forced to work together against a threat that none could have faced alone. They had learned that unity was not only a choice, but a necessity in the face of forces they could barely comprehend. With Typhon vanquished, peace once again returned to Olympus, but the gods carried with them the lessons of the battle, a reminder that they would always need to protect their realm from chaos, from both within and beyond. Their victory was not one of dominance, but of resilience, a triumph that had proven the strength of Olympus's unity. But even as peace returned, the gods would soon face another kind of rebellion, not from titans, giants, or monsters, but from mortals emboldened by their own desires. Join us in the next episode as Prometheus's actions spark defiance among humankind, forcing Zeus to make a decision that will forever change the relationship between gods and mortals. Since the gift of fire had been granted to them by Prometheus, mortals had transformed their world. They had harnessed fire to light their homes, forge tools, and build cities, growing in knowledge and ambition. Yet, with this newfound power came a sense of independence, a whisper of rebellion that spread through their hearts. Mortals, once solely reliant on the gods for guidance and protection, began to believe they could shape their own fate, a belief that both intrigued and disturbed the gods of Olympus. Zeus watched from Olympus as mortals grew bolder, their prayers less frequent, their respect for divine authority waning. This change troubled him deeply. The balance between gods and mortals, carefully maintained, was now under threat. While fire had given humans strength, it had also sown the seeds of pride and defiance. And at the root of this defiance was Prometheus, the Titan who had dared to challenge Zeus and empower humankind. Prometheus's act of rebellion had not gone unnoticed. Though Zeus had previously bound the Titan in chains as punishment, he realized that this punishment had failed to curb the influence Prometheus held over mortals. The whispers of independence among mortals grew louder with each passing day, and Zeus knew he needed to make an example that would resonate through the ages, a reminder of the consequences of defying the gods. Calling upon his council, Zeus's voice thundered through the halls of Olympus. Prometheus has not only defied my will, but has encouraged mortals to challenge our rule. His actions have disrupted the balance between gods and humanity, and he must face a punishment that will remind all who look to Olympus that defiance comes at a cost. Though some gods felt sympathy for Prometheus, they understood the severity of the situation. If mortals could defy the gods without consequence, it would only be a matter of time before other acts of rebellion followed. With a heavy heart, Zeus resolved to make an example of Prometheus, to demonstrate the unbreakable strength of divine authority. Under Zeus's command, Prometheus was brought to a remote mountain peak, the harshest, most desolate summit in the mortal realm. Here, bound in unbreakable chains forged by Hephaestus, Prometheus would face an endless torment. Each day an eagle, the sacred bird of Zeus, a symbol of divine punishment, would descend upon the Titan, tearing into him, consuming his liver, which would regenerate each night, subjecting him to unending agony. As the chains tightened around him, Prometheus looked defiantly toward Olympus, his gaze unyielding despite the torment that awaited him. Though his body would suffer, his spirit remained unbroken, his heart filled with the knowledge that he had empowered humankind, that he had given them a spark that could never be extinguished. Zeus watched from Olympus as the punishment began, the sight a grim reminder to all who would challenge the authority of the gods. Prometheus's suffering was not just retribution, it was a message, one that Zeus intended to echo through both the heavens and the mortal world. As news of Prometheus's punishment spread, mortals were struck with fear and awe. The suffering of the Titan who had gifted them fire and knowledge weighed heavily on their hearts, a sobering reminder of the gods' power and their capacity for retribution. Yet, in the quiet corners of the world, mortals began to question Zeus's decision, wondering if justice had truly been served. While some mortals returned to the gods with renewed reverence, others were emboldened by Prometheus's sacrifice, their respect for him deepening. They saw him as a symbol of courage, a being who had endured unimaginable pain to grant them the tools of progress. Though fearful, they held on to the gift of fire with an even greater appreciation, determined to honor Prometheus by advancing their own lives and communities. Zeus observed this response with a wary eye, noting that while Prometheus's punishment had subdued the majority, a small faction of mortals now revered the Titan as a martyr. Though he had achieved his purpose in instilling fear, Zeus knew that the spirit of rebellion lay dormant within humanity, waiting for a moment to rise once again. As the gods witnessed the effects of Prometheus's punishment, they gathered to discuss the future of their relationship with humanity. Some, like Athena, questioned the wisdom of such severe punishment, fearing that it would foster resentment rather than respect among mortals. Mortals are unlike us, she said thoughtfully. They are driven by curiosity, by a desire to shape their own destinies. While they may fear us now, we must consider the consequences of ruling solely through power. Hestia, the goddess of the hearth, agreed, her voice gentle yet filled with wisdom. Perhaps there is room for compassion, even as we assert our authority. Mortals look to us for guidance, not only for fear of retribution, but for hope and inspiration. But Zeus, firm in his stance, reminded them of the delicate balance they maintained. Prometheus's actions threatened that balance, encouraged mortals to believe they could exist without us. If we are to govern, they must understand that we are not equals, that the gods are protectors, rulers, and guides of this world. To blur that line is to invite chaos. The gods fell silent, each feeling the weight of Zeus's words. They understood the need for order, but recognized the complexity of ruling beings as independent and ambitious as mortals. The punishment of Prometheus was a reminder to them all of the cost of divine authority, a cost that would forever shape their relationship with the mortal world. As days turned to years, Prometheus's suffering became a legend among both gods and mortals. His name was whispered in reverence, his sacrifice honored as a symbol of defiance against oppression. Mortals, though bound by fear, carried a spark within them that could not be quelled. The fire of Prometheus lived on, fueling their innovation, creativity, and will to thrive, even under the watchful eyes of the gods. For the gods of Olympus, the legacy of Prometheus's punishment served as a warning and a lesson. They knew that humanity's independence would continue to grow, that mortals would always seek to push the boundaries placed before them. Prometheus's act had planted a seed that no amount of divine punishment could fully uproot, a seed that would grow into humanity's relentless drive to shape their own fate. As he watched over the world from Olympus, Zeus could not ignore the impact of Prometheus's defiance. While he felt justified in enforcing divine order, he understood that mortals, like the Titan who had gifted them fire, possessed a strength of spirit that could not be easily subdued. Though Prometheus remained bound, his legacy had woven itself into the fabric of humanity, and Zeus knew that he had set into motion forces that even he could not fully control. The punishment had upheld divine authority, yet it had also revealed the complexity of rule, the challenge of maintaining balance without quelling the spirit of those they governed. Zeus's gaze drifted to the mortal world, his mind filled with a mixture of pride, caution, and a faint trace of unease. For in the hearts of humanity, he saw the echo of Prometheus's defiance, a reminder that true power was both an honor and a burden, a challenge that would test the gods as much as it tested mortals. Though Prometheus remained bound, and mortals continued their lives under the gods' watchful gaze, an unspoken tension lingered between Olympus and the world below. The fire that had once symbolized power now embodied humanity's resilience, a resilience that would forever remind the gods that their authority was not beyond question. The bond between mortals and gods, delicate and complex, had been altered, reshaped by the defiance of one Titan and the courage of those he had empowered. Zeus's rule endured, Olympus's authority was secure, yet the gods knew that Prometheus's punishment was only the beginning. Mortals, with their newfound knowledge and spirit, would continue to test the boundaries of divine rule, seeking a future that lay beyond the reach of any single power, divine or mortal. But Zeus's trials were far from over. As humanity grew, their defiance would reach new heights, leading to transgressions that threatened the very fabric of the world. Join us in the next episode as Zeus faces a choice that will cleanse the earth, bringing about a flood that will change the course of history and reveal the lengths he will go to preserve the balance of creation. Though Prometheus's gift of fire had empowered mortals, leading to great advancements and achievements, it had also sown seeds of unchecked ambition. Over time, humanity's pride grew, pushing them beyond simple independence and into acts of greed, cruelty, and betrayal. As mortals grew more confident in their own power, respect for the gods began to erode, replaced by a disregard for divine authority. Zeus watched in disappointment and anger as mortals turned against each other and the natural order, harming the world they had been entrusted to nurture. Their defiance went beyond mere self-governance. It led to bloodshed, broken promises, and a world increasingly filled with darkness. Though he had long hoped they would learn restraint and humility, Zeus now saw that their actions threatened not only themselves, but the balance of all creation. Deeply troubled, he convened a council of the gods to discuss the fate of humanity. Mortals were meant to be our stewards on earth, he said, his voice filled with sorrow and frustration. But they have become a danger to themselves and the world we protect. If left unchecked, they will bring ruin to all we have built. The other gods listened in grave silence, understanding the gravity of Zeus's words. Each had watched the mortals' descent into corruption and cruelty, and though some felt sympathy, all agreed that the situation had grown dire. In the halls of Olympus, the gods debated humanity's fate, each offering a perspective on how to handle the crisis. Poseidon, god of the sea, was the first to suggest a drastic solution. "Let us cleanse the earth with a flood," he proposed, his voice calm but resolute. If mortals cannot respect the gifts they have been given, then perhaps they should start anew, learning to honor the gods in the world we created. Hera nodded in agreement, her expression somber. They have abused the gift of life, harming one another and showing little reverence for us or the world they live in. Perhaps a flood would remind them of their place and teach them gratitude. Zeus, torn between compassion and justice, considered his allies' counsel. He knew that a flood would be a terrible punishment, a cleansing of the earth that would wipe away nearly all mortals, leaving only the pure and humble to rebuild. It was not a decision to make lightly, for it would bring suffering on a massive scale. Yet he saw no other way to preserve the balance and restore harmony to the world. After a long silence, Zeus spoke. "The flood will come, but it will not be a final end for all. There are those among humanity who still respect the gods, who have shown kindness and honor. I will spare them, that they may survive this trial and restore the earth with renewed purpose." With that, the gods solemnly agreed to unleash the flood, each understanding the gravity of their choice and the impact it would have on humanity. Zeus turned his gaze to the earth, searching for mortals worthy of survival. His eyes fell upon Deucalion and his wife, Pyrrha, two of the few who had honored the gods faithfully, despite the chaos around them. Deucalion, son of Prometheus, had inherited his father's wisdom and resilience, and together with Pyrrha, he had led a life of kindness, reverence, and humility. Sending Hermes as his messenger, Zeus warned Deucalion of the coming flood and instructed him to build an ark large enough to withstand the rising waters. "Take only what you need," Hermes relayed to Deucalion, prepare to wait out the storm. You will be the new beginning, a chance for humanity to rise with respect and reverence once more. Grateful for the gods' mercy, Deucalion and Pyrrha immediately began their preparations, gathering supplies and crafting their vessel. Though saddened by the fate of their fellow mortals, they trusted that the gods had chosen this path for the greater good and were humbled by their role in humanity's survival. With the ark prepared, Deucalion and Pyrrha boarded, offering a final prayer to the gods for guidance and strength. Then, as the sky darkened and the winds howled, the flood began. Poseidon summoned massive waves from the depths, and rain poured from the heavens in unrelenting torrents. Rivers overflowed, mountains were submerged, and cities vanished beneath the rising water, consumed by the wrath of the gods. Zeus watched as the waters rose, his heart heavy with the weight of his decision. Though his judgment was firm, he could not help but feel sorrow for the mortals who perished, a reminder of the fragile balance between divine power and compassion. Lightning flashed across the sky, and thunder rumbled in a symphony of celestial anger, echoing the grief of Olympus as the flood cleansed the earth. Deucalion and Pyrrha, safe within their ark, endured the storm's fury, surrounded by nothing but the endless churning sea. Days turned to weeks, and as the flood waters continued to rise, they clung to their faith, trusting that the gods would bring them through this trial. At last, after many weeks, the rains ceased, and the flood waters began to recede. Slowly, the peaks of mountains emerged, followed by hills and valleys, as the earth revealed itself once more. When the ark finally came to rest upon a mountaintop, Deucalion and Pyrrha stepped out, greeted by a world washed clean and filled with silence, as if nature itself were holding its breath. Overwhelmed by the devastation, yet grateful for their survival, Deucalion and Pyrrha prayed to Zeus, asking for guidance on how to rebuild humanity. Great Zeus, we are humbled by your mercy and stand ready to honor you and all the gods. Show us how to bring forth a new generation that will live with respect, humility, and wisdom. Moved by their devotion, Zeus answered, instructing them to gather stones from the earth and cast them over their shoulders. Each stone will transform into a new person, he told them, a symbol of endurance, born from the earth and bound to it with respect. Let them remember the flood and honor the gods, living lives filled with gratitude for the world they inherit. Following Zeus's guidance, Deucalion and Pyrrha began casting stones, which transformed into men and women, strong and resilient. These new humans, shaped by divine intervention, carried within them the lessons of the flood, their spirits bound to the earth and tempered by reverence for the gods. As the earth returned to life, the gods of Olympus watched over the new mortals, each feeling a mix of relief and caution. They had restored balance, but the flood had served as a stark reminder of the consequences of unchecked pride and defiance. The mortals who now walked the earth were different, humbled, respectful, and aware of the gods' power and mercy alike. Poseidon, who had summoned the floodwaters, felt a sense of pride tempered with solemnity. We have given them a second chance, he mused, a chance to live with respect for the earth and for us. Let us hope they honor this gift. Hestia, goddess of the hearth, added, perhaps compassion and guidance will encourage them to keep their reverence, a gentler hand than the flood we unleashed. We are their guardians, after all, not only their rulers. Zeus nodded, his gaze fixed upon the earth below. The flood was a necessary act, yet one that weighs heavily upon us. May it serve as a reminder to both gods and mortals that balance must be preserved, that power must be tempered by wisdom. And so, the gods resolved to watch over humanity with renewed vigilance, guiding them with both strength and compassion. They knew that the future would hold more challenges, but they trusted that the mortals, born anew, would honor the lessons of the flood. In the years that followed, the story of the Great Flood became a legend among mortals, a tale passed down through generations as a reminder of the gods' power and the importance of humility. Deucalion and Pyrrha's descendants lived with a reverence for Olympus, honoring the divine gifts they had been given and striving to maintain harmony with the earth and its creatures. For the gods, the flood served as a profound lesson in the complexities of ruling. They understood that power alone could not sustain loyalty or respect. It required compassion, wisdom, and a willingness to protect, even as they enforced order. And though the balance had been restored, they knew that humanity's spirit would always push boundaries, seeking progress while testing the patience of the gods. The flood had brought about a new beginning, one forged in equal parts of justice and mercy, a balance that would define the relationship between gods and mortals for ages to come. But the balance would not last unchallenged. Join us in the next episode as we explore the tale of Sisyphus, a mortal whose cunning and defiance led him to deceive even the gods, earning him a punishment as unending as his ambition and setting the stage for yet another test of Olympus's authority. While our tales tonight have drawn to a gentle end, the stars above Olympus still hold countless mysteries, each waiting to be shared under a quiet night sky. We'll gather here again soon to journey through the stories of other gods and legends, stories that remind us of resilience, transformation, and the beauty woven into the fabric of life. For now, let's transition to stillness, guiding you into a place of deep rest. Let this be a time of pure relaxation, where you can release each thought and allow your mind to settle settle. Close your eyes if you haven't already, and take a slow, deep breath in, letting calm expand within you. And as you exhale, release any lingering tension, letting it drift away like clouds, clearing from a quiet sky. Now, bring your awareness to the rhythm of your breath. Each inhale, filling you with peace. Each exhale, drawing you deeper into comfort. Breathe in deeply, feeling warmth spread through your chest, and hold it softly for just a moment. And as you exhale, feel yourself sink further, fully supported, calm, and serene. Now imagine a soft golden light at the top of your head, like a gentle warmth that invites relaxation. With each breath, let that light flow down, releasing tension from your forehead and eyes, letting your jaw soften. Feel the warmth continue down to your neck and shoulders. Inhale deeply, and as you exhale, allow your shoulders to drop, as though setting down the weight of all that has come before. Let the golden light spread gently through your arms, down to your fingertips, feeling them grow heavy, relaxed, and still. Notice the gentle rise and fall in your chest and belly, inhaling as your belly rises, and as you exhale, releasing any remaining tension, feeling light and free. Shift your focus to your hips and thighs, letting them sink deeply into the bed, fully supported and relaxed. Now, feel the warmth move down to your knees, calves, ankles, and finally to your feet and toes, letting each part release, grounded, calm, and at ease. With every breath, let go a little more, letting yourself be embraced by the gentle quiet of this moment, as though you too are a part of the timeless story of night and stars. Inhale deeply, feeling peace expand through you, and exhale, settling into a space of deep, serene rest. Let this be your time to drift off into sleep, to find comfort and calm in the quiet of your heart. Take one last deep breath in, and as you exhale, feel yourself float into a peaceful slumber. Rest well, and we'll return to these stories when next we meet. Good night.